Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Gunning to Go here. Hope you enjoyed the last few videos, wrapping up all those live streams, and then starting in some of the project videos. The last one was a short video just taking our F350 in to have it looked at and getting the new fuel tank and the sending unit card put in it. Okay, moving forward, this video we're going to look at today, something pretty simple a lot of people already know, and that's how to change their own oil. Now this was recorded back in April of 2021, right before we headed out on the highway for our big 1 month long, or I guess it was 7 week long trip that we took down to Texas and over to Florida and back. This was an opportunity though where I had just gotten my first camera, the GoPro, and I wanted to record a video and just kind of see how it worked. And I had the kids out there and I was teaching them how to change oil. So it was a little bit of a father-son time. I like to work on my own stuff, and maybe you'd like to just save money, so you could find this oil change video informative. The second part of it is going to be changing the fuel filter. Now whether you own a Cummins, a Power Stroke, or you've got a Duramax, you're going to save yourself a lot of money by changing your own fuel filters. Most of the big three recommend, I think, about every 30,000. I do every 15 because you don't want these filters to be getting plugged up. It could cost you a lot of money and you do not want to risk getting dirty injectors. So I was learning because this was my first fuel filter change on this truck at that time. But one thing I want to touch base on, and I hadn't done a lot of research up until that point, I knew that it was critical when changing the under the hood fuel filter that you had to make sure to get those clamps and the hoses on there, because obviously high pressure, you don't want those things coming off. I just did not realize how big of an issue it was, and I was commenting in the video why those plastic clips were included from Ford, and I figured they were probably just extra security. They pretty much are. If you do any little bit of research like I have now in this past year, you'll find out that there are a lot of trucks that have been left burning on the side of the road, putting these hoses on and not getting them clipped right. They pop off and spray diesel fuel all over under the hood, which results a lot of times in a massive fire. And there's been people on Facebook groups I'm in that have actually shown pictures of this happening and been lucky not to have a fire, but they've had diesel all over in the engine bay, and they really got lucky. So this is something that you're really going to want to pay attention to. If you change your own fuel filter, make sure to get the lines on. And another thing that could happen too, even if you don't have a fire or a big mess with diesel fuel, if you starved your fuel pump with fuel, that could be a bad situation too, especially on the CP4s that Cummins and Power Stroke have used, because those things dry up and they are not lubricated from the fuel, and they can essentially damage, or they can become damaged because they're metal on metal in there. And if those things grenade, they send all the shrapnel down the fuel lines right to your injectors, and it can be a $10,000 repair. So you really got to be careful with these things. Fuel filter changes, super easy. You can save a ton of money. I spent $50 on the filter, but you really got to take your time and just pay attention. It's a 10-minute job, and maybe another 10 minutes just to get fuel back through the system and priming it, but you gotta just do it slow and make sure you take your time. Thought it'd be kind of interesting to come out and just take a peek under the hood of the 22, since they made quite a few changes as far as the location of some things and just where some things fit, like the air filter, and they kind of moved the batteries around and some other stuff. And I wanted to see if they made some changes on the fuel filter, and it looks like maybe they had. They got some different clips possibly, but it is the same filter. It's interesting to see that Ford still uses that design. And honestly, it works pretty well, but you got to be careful. We're going to go ahead and jump into this video, and we've got a couple more project videos, and then we're finally going to get on to season 1. I'm excited to get on these because I'm excited to get caught up so we can get into 2022, where we're at right now. Anybody in the comments want to guess where we're at right now? Go ahead and entertain me. A lot of you probably already know, but I want everybody to sit back and enjoy this one. We're going to keep ramping through these and get on to the good stuff. So here we go. Going back to April 2021. So a little tip that some people do is they put a plastic bag over their filter when they go ahead and lower it down. For me, that's always made a lot more of a mess than to just grab a wrench or one of these guys and just grab a hold of it, twist it off, just let the oil run down. You're gonna get a little oil around on you, but the plastic bag just made way more of a mess for me. And I'd use a rubber one when you put the new one on so that you don't dent or scratch your new filter. If you got a big enough pan, you can have this one draining at the same time that this one is. You got that, Alex? So this just started dripping right now, and that's usually for me like, okay, good enough. Kind of give her a good little wipe, and it's gonna keep on going. So put the plug in, make sure you wipe this thing down. Then you screw that in part of the way, and you can usually get your rag in and kind of clean that up a little bit around there. This thing, I don't go real tight, but I just snug it. Snug, but you don't want to get muscly on that. Kind of clean up, wipe around there. There you go. Now the oil plug's in. Very important. And we're gonna sacrifice a rag, so this is gonna be our sacrificial rag. This is my old t-shirt, so I don't know, maybe Mama can get the stains out. Oh, Jesus. I thought I had about 3 clicks more. Yeah, I didn't realize I was only a few clicks or a few turns away from it coming off. Now, do you guys remember what the most important part is about the filter?
No.
Well.
Don't get oil over it.
No. Most important part of the filter. And I'll tell you, in many years, I haven't seen this happen, but it's happened on this.
What?
Turn the filter over. What's missing? We're missing the rubber O-ring. And that normally never happens, but guess what happened here?
What?
The rubber O-ring is stuck. Right there. And that's really cool. We got that on video because in probably thousands of oil changes that I've done, I've only seen that happen a couple of times. This stuck on there, and I told you the story about a friend I had in Tennessee who had one stick on his motorcycle and he never checked because he never knew how to change oil. And he put his new filter on, so then he ended up having two O-rings, which is not good because they basically squeezed the oil squirted between them. It's not designed for that. And he got the oil and everything was good, and he went and jumped on the motorcycle, and once he got out and got on the engine out on the road, it started gushing oil out, which went all over his back tire. And when he went and gave it gas to take off down the highway, his back tire got all squirrely, and he ended up swerving all over the road, crashing, and ended up in the hospital for quite a while with all kinds of broken bones and all kinds of stuff. Totaled his bike, and he'd only had the bike a couple days, and that was the beginning and the end of his motorcycling. He got rid of it after that.
I'm surprised he's not dead.
He could have been. He almost got hit by a car coming the other way. Car narrowly avoided him. That's a pretty extreme case of what happens when you forget to take that O-ring off, but I have never had that happen to my own vehicle, but it just did right there. So you got to check for that. And you should be checking anyway, because if you do this right here, you get up there and you clean all that gunk off, and you want to use a clean rag. You want to use a rag that is not been wiping sand or anything else. Very important that you keep this stuff
Clean and not rusty.
no sand. You don't, this is your filter, so you don't want to get anything on up here that could end up in your engine. And what you do is you grab the new filter, you swipe some oil,
And I think you do
lube up the new O-ring.
And I think that's because it goes on easier.
It keeps it from binding.
Oh.
And like pinching, it just lubricates it so that when it's spinning it doesn't bind up and create a kink or whatever. So I hand tighten them. I hand tighten them like that, which on a big filter you can get a pretty good amount. And this is something that I wouldn't recommend doing too crazy, because it's not, but I've used this for so many years. I like to put that on there, and I don't use it to really do any more than I could by hand, but I use that to gauge, like, oh yeah, I got that plenty tight. I just know the feel when I use one of these, how tight it should be, and that is plenty tight. You do not want to go too tight, because you'll damage the filter and create a problem.
So you just hold the belt like this, and then
the thing goes through like that, pinches. And the reason why I like these is because they're all rubber and there's nothing to damage the filter, and it puts even pressure, so it grabs it, but it doesn't damage it, dent it, scratch it, or poke holes in it. Something like this you never want to use on your new filter, but on an old filter you don't care about. This is quick and easy because it's like, you know, you just grab it and you can muscle it right off of there. So I use this to take them off a lot of times. Most times I just use this to take it off. This is more than enough torque to put on any filter like this, because if you're wrenching really hard with this, it's already probably on too tight. I just know like the feel, and so I just use that to check, and it's like, yep, I've got it plenty good. I've never had one leak, but that's the first time I've ever had an O-ring that stayed up there on my own vehicle. I mean, I seen it a lot back in the day, but God, it's been on my own stuff, so I haven't changed oil for somebody else in 20 years, but I haven't seen that happen. And you know, and I've heard of stories of people going to get the oil change places, and a lot of those places have got young guys working there. You know, it's their entry level, and they're gonna want to be mechanics or something eventually, and they don't check for that, and they rip the old oil filter off, slap the new one on,
get paid in,
and they end up having oil all over the damn place. It's not a hard job. It takes a few minutes more. You save, in our case, $100 or $200 doing it ourselves. It also gives you a chance to get under the vehicle and do an inspection to find, you know, just to look. This is your once or twice a year of getting under your vehicle, or more if you drive it, but every, you know, 7,000 miles I get under here and I inspect things. Do I have any wires hanging? Do I have anything that looks like a cause for concern under here? All right, so one thing, so 12 quarts in these bigger jugs, and you can dump in 1030, but we run 5W40 because it says right on the cap severe duty, and when you live up north where it's colder, the 5W40 is way better for the cold starts, and also if you're going to be in heat, better for that too. And when you change your own oil, then you can put in the best oil, and you only pay a few dollars more for it, but you're saving tons of money doing it yourself. If you take it in, they're going to probably dump 1030 in it, which is fine, but why not have the best oil you can? One thing I will say, and I forgot to do, I did last time, is I poured the 13th quart, because three of these are going to be 12. I poured a 13th quart in the oil filter. On these bigger filters, you should probably do that, and I forgot to do that this time, so it'll be all right though. A big funnel makes this job a lot easier. Hopefully the end of the funnel is in there. We got it coming out of the ground, Aiden?
No, did you plug this down?
Oh yeah. God, I can't imagine if the funnel wasn't in there. It's all black, so you can't see. That'd be such a mess. If it was a cold day and this oil was cold, you want to make sure to put this in the house, because you'd be out here all day trying to pour it out. And we put our cap on and go start it up before we dump the 13th quart in. We're only 1 quart low, and that's okay. Start it up and get the oil through the filter and everything, and then we'll check it and dump the 13th quart in. And one thing about this truck that is the absolute worst is how to check the oil. You get one shot at it, and then you get oil up the dipstick tube, and you'll never get to an accurate check on it. We know we put 13 quarts in, we're good. I'm gonna dump quart in. Okay, cap is on. Look at that. 13 quarts, perfect. There you go. Just saved myself like, I don't even know. I've not ever taken my vehicle in for the oil change, but I think they run just for the oil change is about $100, I think. That's why it pays to do things yourself. Well, I don't see any water. So there's a problem with the 2017s that it keeps siphoning diesel from the tank. And if that happens, then you gotta go up here and you gotta do something. Pull up, you gotta pop this line or something, and I'm really hoping I don't have to do that. Here's to hoping like heck that this thing does not keep siphoning.
What if it overflows?
It better not. It's not supposed to be that much in here. Come on, you old bird, stop.
Is it almost full?
No, it's right here. But there's not supposed to be much in there. And basically, if it keeps going, that means we've got the good old 2017 problem that we've got to pop this line up here, and I don't want to deal with that. Oh, thank God. That I just don't want to be. I don't want to pop fuel lines off, so you end up breaking something or having something go to heck. And
so that's a good thing that it's.
That's an amazing thing. Yes, it's very good. It's a problem that Ford had, and then they fixed it. But I'm thinking that it might have just gotten fixed when they put the new tank on. This may be something that just got dealt with. I don't know. That's why I didn't change the fuel filter last couple weeks, because I knew they were going to be putting a new tank in. And voila. Okay, so this job costs, from what I've heard, $200 and some, and I got the filter kit on Amazon for $50, so money saved. Pop that over there. I'm looking for like any signs of any metal chunks. We got that Bosch 4 fuel pump, and I'm just looking to see if there's any signs of debris, metal bits, anything like that. If there's any signs of any kind of failure, which this truck is 30,000 miles, so this is only the second filter. It got done at 15 according to Ford in town here. The previous owner brought it in at 15. There's like really nothing in there, which is what we want. So I'm gonna pull the old one off here. This is nice. I don't know, these go bad or whatnot, but they give you one, so. And I'll make sure and get a clean rag, dry that all out really good, and we'll slap the new stuff in. All right, put this in here. Got it all clean and dry, so that's it. Ready to put it back up there. Here we go. So we got 2 quarts of diesel is what came out of ours, just FYI. It's good to know. Gotta cycle the key about 4 times. You can hear the canisters filling up down there. I don't have any leaks or anything, so I'm just gonna let it fill. When it gets quiet, I'll cycle the key about 3 more times. And you want to do this one first. Well, you change this one first, obviously, and then make sure to cycle the key and then do the front one. So don't do them all at once; you get too much air in there. It's still making a lot of noise. Just draining the diesel fuel out of the old filter here. This thing was too hard to show it on the camera, but it is not fun to try to pull them clips. And I mean, everything is just in there so tight. It's easy to do when you know what to expect. Got the new one here. You definitely want to get a rag down under here. Just drop this thing in. Now my rag's trying to get in there too. Drop it in and give her a twist. And there's 3 different kinds of adapter or clips here. And the middle one is an absolute mother. No offense to anybody's mother, but all right, that one pops on. This 3rd one here is hard to see. It's gonna be really hard to get this on the video, but some reason they've got quite a contraption here where you're supposed to put this on, and I can see people have like put their initials on here. I am so confused on this whole setup here. We got this clamshell kit that came with our filter, and I've not seen this before, and there wasn't one on here in the first place, so I don't know. Ford dealer just didn't put one on, but I can't figure out what the purpose of this is other than to possibly prevent the tabs from being bumped. And I'm a pretty curious person. I like to kind of know why, but put that on there, and I mean, it's on there and everything's good to go. So we got all these pushed in and everything's down tight. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the key on a couple times and then fire it up. Hopefully we're good to go. All right, we're gonna try to fire it up. We've done it about 5-6 times. We're still getting air sounds down below, but here we go. $200+ saved. Yeah. I hope you all enjoyed that video. It was one of the first things that I had done with the GoPro when we got it, just to try it out again. So I think it turned out pretty neat, and I do enjoy spending some father-son time teaching my sons how to take care of their own stuff, and hopefully they'll be able to have some skills someday to save themselves some money as well. Now I have to admit, I'm going to be probably getting my first oil change that I've gotten in 20 years at a Ford dealership, because we are traveling around down in the southern US here, and I didn't have room to bring all my oil change, my filter wrenches and my drain pan and all that stuff, but I am definitely going to be taking that with when we get into our new unit. We have more room so that I can change my own oil when I get an opportunity. And that goes with the same with the fuel filters. I will definitely be doing those myself, because you don't need really any tools other than a couple of small sockets and you're set to go. But with that being said, we got some free oil changes from Ford buying our truck, and we're gonna go ahead and probably redeem at least one until I get back to Wisconsin this summer. Hope everybody stays safe. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe on this video. Turn on those notifications so you know when we put the next one out. We'll see you all next time. Take care.